The leaders of the Senate Intelligence Committee say President Trump's former National Security Advisor, General Michael Flynn, is now refusing to turn over documents for the Russia investigation. Now he doesn't have a choice and could face prison time if he refuses to hand over those documents. The Senate Intelligence Committee has subpoenaed Michael Flynn, did so yesterday. Lawmakers from both parties say General Flynn may have broken the law when he accepted foreign payments, including $33,000 from the Russian government's TV network RT to attend an event in Moscow where he sat next to President Putin back in the year 2015. Let's turn to Josh Lederman now, foreign policy reporter for the Associated Press. This is a serious turn in this investigation, it would appear.
It is a serious turn, and Shep, for months now, Trump and his administration have been saying, look, this whole Trump-Russia business is much ado about nothing. There's no there. It's time to move on. And this isn't even a very high-profile, high-priority FBI investigation. Well, all of the developments that have come out in this past week, but especially the ones you were talking about with Mike Flynn, suggest exactly the opposite. Obviously, this is serious. There are very real documents that Senate investigators are trying to get their hands on that they were unable to do by voluntarily asking Flynn, through his attorneys, to hand those over. And now you also have, on the law enforcement side, the legal side, actual subpoenas trying to get at this information. So all the signs suggest that this is a very serious, real investigation that could be heating up.
Mike Flynn's attorney said, quite famously now, that he, quote, has a story to tell in asking for immunity for Mike Flynn. Anything more on that, or Mike Flynn's team's response to this subpoena?
Well, so far, Flynn's attorneys have declined to say anything publicly about the subpoenas. But you're right, it was not that long ago that they were trying to reach some type of immunity deal in exchange for Flynn to testify. The fact that he's now being subpoenaed, essentially forced to hand over documents absent any kind of immunity deal, suggests that those discussions were not going very well, or at least that Senate investigators and the U.S. Attorney's Office was not willing to say, yeah, we're going to give you a free pass in exchange for information. They're looking for a lot more before they're willing to go there.
And these documents, as far as we know, could give further indication of Flynn's ties to Russia, both during the campaign period and before.
That's right. We know that there are two periods of scrutiny that are existing right now. One is the period before Election Day, before inauguration, the time when Trump was a candidate and then president-elect. And then, of course, there is that short but very important three-week period when Flynn was the National Security Advisor. And from all indications, investigators are currently looking at both of those periods to try to identify just what kind of contact Flynn had with the Russians, with other governments, and whether they were appropriate, Shep.
The president fired him, but at the same time said that the media had mistreated him and that he was a good man. What's the current position on Mike Flynn in this investigation?
The current position from the White House is to try to distance themselves from Flynn, to say, look, he didn't work at the White House that long. At some point, the White House was suggesting, he didn't even have that large of a role prior to the White House taking office in January. Of course, we all recall Flynn at the Republican National Convention giving that lock her up speech about Hillary Clinton. But Trump has continued to go back to this idea that Flynn has been mistreated by the press.
Josh Lederman from Associated Press. Josh, thanks as always.
Thanks, Shep.